history often hides shadows darker than we can imagine. Behind the walls of temples, under the glow of torches, or deep in forests, people once carried out rituals so terrifying that even today they leave us uneasy. These were not just ceremonies. They were acts of devotion, power, and fear. Rituals that demanded blood, pain, and sacrifice. Tonight, we journey back through time to uncover 5 of the most brutal rituals in human history. Number 5. The Viking Blood Eagle. Among the Norse, honor in battle was everything. But for those who betrayed their kin or their gods, the punishment was legendary: the Blood Eagle. Victims were stretched on the ground, while executioners carved through their back, cracking open ribs and pulling them outward to resemble wings. Their lungs were then placed over their shoulders, as if the victim had sprouted wings of blood. Some historians debate if the ritual truly happened or if it was myth, but its description alone became a weapon of fear. Imagine the silence of the crowd, broken only by the sound of bone splitting, as a traitor was sent to Odin in the most agonizing way possible. Number 4. The Aztec Human Sacrifices. The Aztec Empire thrived on devotion to their gods, but devotion came at a price: human blood. At the height of their power, sacrifices were carried out on top of towering temples, with priests using obsidian blades to cut open the chest and tear out the still-beating heart of the victim. The body was then cast down the temple steps, rolling lifelessly before the watching crowd. Some victims were honored warriors, captured in battle. Others were slaves. To the Aztecs, the ritual wasn't cruelty, it was survival. They believed the sun itself demanded nourishment of human hearts, and without sacrifice, the world would plunge into darkness. Number 3. Scaphism of ancient Persia. If there is one ritual that defines slow cruelty, it is scaphism. Victims were trapped between 2 boats or hollowed out logs, with their bodies smeared in milk and honey. Left exposed under the sun, insects swarmed, biting and burrowing into the flesh, while the victim remained alive. They were force-fed more milk and honey, ensuring that waste attracted even more creatures. Days, sometimes weeks, would pass before death finally came. Scaphism wasn't just execution, it was theater, a ritual of humiliation and pain so prolonged it echoed like a curse through history. Number 2. The Mesoamerican ball game rituals. For some ancient Mesoamerican civilizations, even sports could end in death. The ball game, played with rubber balls and stone courts, was not always a simple pastime. In certain regions, the losing team, or sometimes the winners, were sacrificed to the gods. Imagine the cheers of the crowd, knowing that when the game ended, blood would be spilled. Heads of the slain were sometimes displayed on racks, reminders of devotion and the high price of tradition. To play was both honor and risk, for the game was more than sport. It was a ritual that bound life, death, and belief together. Number 1. Ritualistic cannibalism. Perhaps the darkest ritual of all is one that crossed cultures: the act of consuming human flesh as part of sacred practice. In some tribes, eating the body of a fallen enemy was believed to transfer strength and courage. In others, consuming parts of the dead honored their spirit, keeping them alive within the community. But the ritual often blurred the line between reverence and horror. Imagine a fire crackling in the night, the air heavy with smoke, as a body was prepared not for burial, but for consumption. To us, it is unimaginable. To them, it was sacred duty. These rituals remind us that history is not just made of kings and empires, but of the darkest fears and beliefs that shaped human behavior. Each act, whether the tearing of lungs, the offering of hearts, or the slow torment of insects, was seen as necessary, justified, even holy but they also reveal the depths of human cruelty and the ways belief can twist into brutality. So, what do you think? Were these rituals acts of devotion or simply madness passed off as faith? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to continue exploring history's shadows, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Because the past is never as far away as it seems.